Hello, hello. Welcome to Aetheral Space 17.32, sir. Gate open, gate closed, part 1.
This is proof that every British person just does the accent on purpose for attention.
What do you mean?
They can turn it off whenever they want.
That's music. Oh. Skipper.
No, bloody fucking hell.
Come on, governor. Oh, what the hell? It's a fur cop.
Have you ever heard of wanked earth before?
Oh, and we saw you edging up over in the back of Buster Bababa.
So if you don't know, Sobek is teaching in Korea right now and is like living the dream.
I'm glad he's got a teaching career. I'm happy for him.
And I was asking about what it's like if they try to make him say funny stuff, and he says like the only main thing is the kids like to ask him to say bottle of water.
I was gonna say bottle of water is the. Do I say it with? Do I do it? Bottle of water?
Say it right now.
Bottle of water.
No, you only so the stereotype is bottle of water, but you only do it with bottle. You say of water normal. You go bottle of water.
Bottle of water.
Yeah. So you only kind of do it.
I'm like almost. There's like recognizable human stuff in there. Uncanny Valley.
Back in my day, the one people used to do with British people in America, like this trope was like say banana, but like I guess that no one cares anymore. It's all about the bottle of water. That's the only one. Anyway, that's not really important. I just thought about it. Shall we continue with the actual episode?
Absolutely. Let's go down the apples and pears.
The apples and pears. Apple pear.
Okay. You killed it.
Nice job, you ruined it. Day 3. In the last few minutes, the smug smirk on this pair of Zephyr Pandershi's lips had faded, leaving instead an expression of annoyed caution. It was actually a nice view. Dragana Hadrian wished she could stick around to appreciate it. One star had departed to deal with the situation going on down below, his position as guard replaced by 2 elite Sealy Rangers clad in gold suits. The fortress outside of this quiet room had become the realm of blaring alarms and rushing patrols. In here, apart from the Ranger newcomers, the only people were herself, Pandershi, and the man called Naye. All eyes were on her. In short, she'd never get a better chance. Pandershi glared at her over the plates of uneaten food. I think it's time we dispensed with the pleasantries, since you're obviously unwilling to accept them, he said, chair screeching as he rose to his feet. You'll be surrendering all of your information now. You really think I'm going to do that? Dragana glared right back at him, voice low. I do, Pandershi replied casually, passing Nyain as he walked around the table. Do you know how flat a human body can get without expiring? People used to think there was a pretty hard limit to it, but I've given it a try and found Pisces paint! Dragana lifted her hand and her palm flashed. Immediately Pandershi's approach stopped. The 2 Golden Rangers who'd been lifting their rifles, they too stopped. Nyain, who'd been looking over with mild amusement, made no move either. Pisces paint allowed Dragana Hadrian to change the color of anything she touched. Anything could become any color at all, even a color the human brain could not comprehend, even a color that would cause any observer to freeze in place as their brain struggled to process it. For a minute or two, it would be like the entire room had been put on pause. Slowly, as to not set off any instincts, Dragana rose to her feet. Even without the inherent time limit of this application of Pisces paint, she had to act quickly. Most likely this hadn't affected Pandershi's other bodies. He'd already be responding. More guards, more Pandershi extensions would already be on their way. Locating permutation was no longer viable. If Dragana understood the situation correctly, another variant had already taken it, and now they were trying to escape Oberon with it in hand. Bold. It was either one of the stronger variants, then, or one of the crazier ones. Whatever the case, things were already in motion. So she had to give the signal now. Dragana Hadrian tapped her heels together, once, twice, thrice. It's time, she thought. The captain's eyes snapped open. It's time, he said. You're in a hurry, huh? Oh, sorry. You're in a hurry, huh? Asked Nyain cheerfully. Dragana Hadrian whirled around. She'd just been about to make her exit from the dining room into the chaos of Oberon beyond when Nyain's bright voice had rang out. Even though everyone else, Pandershi and the Rangers, had been frozen by her emergency use of Pisces paint, Nyan was casually walking up to the table before... Walking up to the table before him?
Yeah.
So, okay.
What do you mean?
Oh, so it's like a war table. They're not, like, sitting down. Okay. He plucked a juicy-looking apple from a fruit bowl and took a bite. Dragana narrowed her eyes. How? How am I still conscious and stuff? Nyan blinked. Well, I've made a whole lot of adjustments to my body over the years. At this point, my senses basically operate off an entirely different set of principles. To me, a crazy color like that is just a normal color. He jerked his head back to the twitching Pandershi, still standing in place. You're not gonna kill him? Fight or flight breaks through the paralysis, Dragana swallowed, taking a step towards the nearest Golden Ranger. Don't tell him that. Besides, there's more of him where that came from. As carefully as she could, she rummaged through the guard's pockets, quickly locating the keycard that would let her out of here. The entire time, her eyes didn't leave Nyan. She'd heard enough about this man, a former Supreme Heir, the leader of the terrorist organization Dark Star. Many people had taken their eyes off of Nyan in the past, and Dragana had no wish to join them in the grave. That's true. Nyan nibbled at the fruit. But I know it would annoy him. I kind of want him to be as miserable as possible by the end of the night, so that would have really helped me out. But no worries. I thought you two were allies. He's helping your Dark Star, isn't it? That's the one! Nyan snapped his fingers. You're right, though. We are allies. How strange. How mysterious. Well, putting the long-term stuff aside, Zephyr just makes such funny faces when things are going bad for him. Can he hear this? Like, can he process this?
No.
It's just seething. Like I said, though, no worries. I'll get to see what I want either way. What do you mean? Nyan swung the apple core by the stem. You're really having a long chat with me, huh? Is that really okay? Don't you have somewhere else to be? Dragana reached behind her for the door, and Nyan's eyes widened fractionally as he seemed to realize her trepidation. Once again, his carefree laughter swept through the room. He waved a dismissive hand. Oh, don't worry. I'm not gonna stop you. He chuckled. I'm normal. I'm just a guy. Once you're gone, I'm just gonna go back to playing freeze tag. Really, though, you better hurry. He jerked his thumb towards Pandershi. He's gonna be pissed.
I'm just a guy.
I'm normal. Dragana made a break for it, scanning the card and charging through the opening door in just a couple of seconds. Cold sweat clung to the back of her neck as she turned her head away from the dining room, but she needn't have worried. Just as Nyan had promised, he made no effort to pursue or prevent. Somehow, that made things even worse. The captain and Ruth leapt off of the tower, both of their gazes already fixed on Oberon's gates. There was no time to wait for Muzazi's return. Whatever was happening in Ward 8, they would just have to leave it to him. Taurus Mortar! The captain roared, pointing his finger forward as blue aether flashed. Scrap peeled itself off of the exterior of the tower, filling the empty space of the captain's attack. Beneath his feet, the stolen metal formed a perfect sphere, crushed into place by his aether. The captain's feet came down a moment later, and he rode the Taurus Mortar forward. The projectile locked onto the distant Dragana Hadrian. Monarch set! Ruth Blaine cried, tucking her arms in as red aether coalesced. In an environment like this, what they needed was maneuverability and ranged attacks, not just pure power. If it came down to it, she could always escalate to Emperor later. But for right now, this would serve. Death's egg formed around her, the red armor sculpted into the visage of a massive skull, encasing Ruth's body completely. Twin wings of cloth, like massive sails, spread out from either side of the set with grand whooshing sounds. Down below, Ruth could already see the crowds parting, screams of surprise and terror ringing out through what had been a lively festival only moments ago. Sorry, she thought to herself, but at least I'm not aiming at you guys. Red aether ran across the surface of Monarch, collecting between its glaring eye sockets, and the accumulated force the set had already gathered since manifestation blasted forth as a concentrated, invisible beam. The attack crashed into the gates of Oberon, specifically the section that had accepted the floating elevator earlier. The captain surfed the Taurus Mortar towards the impact site, watching with satisfaction as the metal panel began to buckle and bend. Within a few seconds, exterior alarms had already overpowered the sounds of the screeching panel. This was only the outermost layer of Oberon's defenses, equivalent to the plastic decorations on a wedding cake, but any damage they could inflict would still be useful. Dragana was trying to escape from the inside, while they were trying to breach from the outside. If they could just meet each other halfway, they could get through this. Through his Taurus Mortar's lock-on, the captain could sense Dragana's location. She was making her way towards them. This could work. The mission could... I was going to say, never ever say that in Aetheral Space. Never start to believe. The enemy appeared before the captain instantly. A variant in a white kimono, floating upside down in the air, both hands pointing directly at the captain's face. Pseudo-teleportation wasn't in itself a strange thing to see from one of them. The captain had Gemini World, and he bet a couple other variants did too. But this wasn't that. The telltale blue sparks of Dragon Hadrian's recording and manifestation hadn't appeared. The enemy had simply appeared from thin air. This was something entirely different. The variant smirked. "Leo Rain," it said. A beam of blue light erupted from between the enemy's hands. The captain raised his arms and focused his aether to block, but at point-blank range that only meant so much. He went flying off of the sphere and down into the packed city streets below, the enemy variant flying down after him. High above, the skull of the monarch set turned to look down at him, but the captain waved a hand. "Go, Blaine!" he roared. "I'll catch up!" The monarch set continued its flight towards Oberon, while the captain flipped in midair. The ground was getting closer very quickly. Impact from this height would be deadly, but that wasn't a problem. After all, he was Dragon Hadrian. Gemini World! The captain vanished in those familiar blue sparks right before he struck the ground, manifesting again a second later. The crowd parted around him, pushing over each other to escape. As they exited the courtyard, others entered, Sealy Rangers flooding into the street to surround him with their rifles. "Don't move!" the squad leader roared. "On your knees!" He didn't even look at them. While the Rangers were a problem, they didn't even compare to the thing slowly floating down. The captain cracked his neck as he took a step forward, looking up at the pale variant. "Guess we're doing this, huh?" he grunted. "Fire!" the Sealy Ranger ordered. A hail of plasma shots converged on the captain from every direction, but not one of them hit their mark. They vanished right before they could make contact with him, blue sparks dancing protectively around his body. The Rangers had fired up at the floating variant, too, getting much the same results. Each and every shot recorded before it could accomplish anything. The captain smirked. They were both Dragon Hadrian, after all. Gemini's shotgun was their bread and butter. With a whisper of silk robes, the variant touched down on the ground before the captain, a smug smirk on his lips. The surrounding Sealy Rangers stepped back, widening their perimeter. They weren't stupid. They'd seen that projectiles wouldn't work, so their next attack would use a different tactic. Still, if the two variants were just standing here, the Sealy Rangers would be inclined to drag that peaceful moment out as long as they could. The captain didn't need to fear their next assault straight away. The captain didn't have time to worry about that, though. Right now, the entirety of his attention was fixed on the mirror before him. He narrowed his eyes as he looked at the ghost with the face he'd lost. "The captain," he said. "Nerarion," the variant replied, its voice serene with an undercurrent of oddly alien arrogance. The captain raised a lump of burnt skin where his eyebrows would have been. "Elysian Fields mean anything to you?" "It does not." The captain clicked his tongue. "Lucky bastard." "Does XK-12 mean anything to you?" "Huh." The captain widened his eyes. "It does, actually. I'm guessing that's where you branched off?" "You assume correctly. I am the administrator for XK-12's Guardian Entity Network, designated Nerarion." Those first words were delivered monotonously, in the manner of a machine, before his expression drifted down into a dark smirk. "Of course, that's all fictional backstory. Right now I'm in the process of constructing my own network. I've already succeeded in creating some guardian entities from the pitiful fauna on this rock." The captain considered the words of the Leo variant, Nerarion. If he was telling the truth, then he was basically like Akamanto from back on Hexk. Having someone like that on his side could be very useful. If the captain truly was going to put together an army of Dragon Hadrians to oppose the supremacy, he needed to provide them with the best equipment possible. A constant supply of new Guardian entities certainly wouldn't go amiss in that effort. The only problem would be that entity override thing, but that wasn't an insurmountable hurdle. Of course, whether or not that's even viable hinges on one thing. Any interest in an alliance, Nararihyun? The captain asked. Oh, no. Nararihyun chuckled, shaking his head. You die here. Shame. The peace was broken as easily as it had been formed, and the two branches of Dragon Hadrian launched themselves forward. Sealy Shield! 6 entire squads of Sealy Rangers, and that was just the initial response force, pooled their bioelectricity power as one, producing an absurd barrier that was more than enough to repel Ruth's continued assault. Deep inside the yolk of the Monarch set, she narrowed her eyes. She hadn't expected that they'd just let her drill right through, but the response had still been quicker than she'd expected. Sealy Gun! The giant crimson egg swept through the air as the bioelectricity changed forms, switching from defense to attack. Great bolts of man-drawn lightning carved scars into the sky, to the air, each strike narrowly missing Monarch. Once fired, a Sealy gun on this level was far too fast to dodge, but the fluctuations in the electric cloud just before the attack allowed Ruth to predict the firing line and move out of the way. She considered her options. This assault was only going to get fiercer the longer it went on for, but maybe that was to her advantage. If she went on another rampage, would that draw enough security to give Dragana an easier time escaping from Oberon? That wasn't something Ruth was willing to stake her life on, though. Even in such great numbers, she was confident she could handle these Sealy Rangers, but if members of the Un-Sealy joined in, things would quickly get dicey. Besides, her attention drifted downwards, where the people of Ward 1 were being evacuated. To them, she must look like the worst kind of monster. She didn't want to bring collateral damage upon them and make the propaganda true. Should she just say fuck it, switch to Emperor, break through these Rangers as quickly as possible, and assault Oberon directly? That didn't feel right either. She took a deep breath. Once again, she was overthinking things. With a great effort, she slowed down the frenzy that had accompanied her dancing.
Dancing Heart.
Dancing Heart, you're good. The problem was that she was alone. So she just had to not be alone. Skeletal set. Noblesse set. Revolutionaire set. The Monarch egg cracked apart into shards of red aether, and from those shards, Ruth Blaine's squadron descended. Her basic sets, each moving independently, empty suits filled with crimson sparks. They each landed.
Boys?
Squat up. They each landed on one knee before leaping forward into the ranks of the Sealy Rangers, and leading the charge was Ruth Blaine herself, unarmored, but no less deadly for it. After all, she had no finer armor than her own flesh and blood. This long night had reached its climax. Within the next few minutes, their efforts tonight would meet either shining success or pitch-black failure. And Ruth Blaine? Ruth Blaine would rush forward with these hands of hers and pry the future into the shape she desired. Not because it was all she was good for, not because it was all she could do at this point, but because that was the desire that burnt at the bottom of her heart. Come on, she thought, striding into Oberon's gate. Come get me, you bastards! All right, and we have some Aetheral questions this week, don't we?
We do.
So many. Lan asks, could you create an Aether metal detector? Could you make it so it detects people even if they're cloaking?
You could, well, you can do, you could, detect objects and things like that, or you could have an ability that detects metal specifically. And you could... Aether cloaking basically just makes it so you don't have that automatic reactions from Aether ping that gives you away, definitively.
Rurum asks, other than Josephine, what's an example of an ennobled one?
Well, Joseph, it was a very rare occurrence. It's basically if you are a non-Gene Tyrant or Gene Noble who did a very good service for them, they'd be like, you can be a Gene Noble too. Usually you would probably be, even though you're on the same level, you'd be considered as lesser, probably, until your first reboot, and then you're
a Make-A-Wish Gene Tyrant.
Exactly. Yeah. When you first reboot onwards, that's just one of the guys.
So who was another one?
I don't know.
Moving forward.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't think of one on the spot, I'm sorry.
If Dear Freischütz uses Aether Sparks as fuel, does Aether Cloaking offer any protection against it?
I would say so, yeah. Aether Cloaking is probably very good against it, because the sparks don't appear.
Rurum asks, how does the news report famous children's actor Chicken Punk died? What's the official story? How am I breaking it to my little boy that his hero's hotel is rubble and plasma?
Well, probably, they might not even announce it. It's a suit, as far as the children are
Just
concerned.
put someone else in it,
Yeah.
and they're like, this guy sucks.
Or you could just... That's when they release Chicken Punk 01.
Oh? 010101.
0101.
He knows what's up.
Yeah, they just have
also...
a new Chicken Punk series.
Room asks, what would happen if a member of the Defleur Skirrent type were to become a host of the Prince, then have a male son?
So they would have the Prince, and the offspring may have memories of having the Prince, but they would not have the Prince anymore. And also the Prince probably wouldn't do that because of that reason.
Oh, damn. I was going to say that'd be a great loophole.
Because it doesn't want, like... It doesn't want to risk, like, the fucking, like, great-great-grandson being like, oh, yeah, the Prince.
No, that's fair.
I remember all that bullshit I got up to back when I was that guy.
Wiser asks, is an Aether Awakening always / constantly covered in Aether Sparks if it's not intentionally cloaking? Have there been any awakenings other than Wu Ming who've tried cloaking?
Yes, it's by default, its physical form would be those sparks, so yes.
Room asks, how political of a group is the Makers Guild? We know the Tree of Might likes to involve itself with the Supreme, etc.
Generally very divorced. They're just making the shit, and sometimes they get paid to make specific shit. But other than that, they keep themselves to themselves. They are very much in it for the art.
Do they have any ethics? Like, no, we won't make the nuke babies armament? Or will they be like, well, that sounds like a great challenge?
Yeah, they do it. They'll do it.
Oh.
It's purely for the advancement of whatever art they have devoted themselves to. They don't give a shit about anything else. They'll make you an enchanted blade.
That is fucked up. Room asks, how did previous Supremes interact with the Tree of Might?
It varies. Usually they're like considered useful idiots in some sense. If they're sort of a compatible Supreme in terms of like the persona.
Mm-hmm.
But
Has there ever
generally,
been a Supreme that like has like used a persona? Like, you know, in wrestling, it's like there's like that's my character. Is there a Supreme who like plays it up and then they go home and they're like, fuck, I hate this?
probably Renee the Raven was kind of like that.
It's like, I hate this whole edgelord goth shtick I have to do all the
Well,
time.
she probably just sort of laid on her bed and was sad all day afterwards.
Yeah, she's like, oh, I need the weekend to recharge.
No, she did not recharge ever, sadly.
Oh. Did she play one video game?
She probably tried to.
She's like, this isn't fun. Maybe I'm worthless. I guess I'm just meant to suffer.
That was probably.
It's like, no, you just picked a really bad video game, Renee. It's okay. Last one. Rock Shark asks, hey, Dan, you said that the first dead met Helis Audrey. That would make the first dead around 300 years old, and it had to just be the first since the second was kind of around for Cadnan Ascension to Supreme. Can you elaborate on the timeline of the deads? That does go against the dead timeline we know of.
Yeah, so the first dead, their original Aether ability was specifically a life-extending one, because they wanted to like have lots of experiences and accumulate knowledge and wisdom. And then they realized, like, after like 300 years, they were like, oh, I realize now I can only get so many experiences and wisdom from this limited perspective. So I will now develop my new Aether ability, which will change me into someone with a new perspective. And they probably expected to retain a bit more of the ego than they did.
Oh. And now they're screwed forever because Sixth is in like some kind of limbo, right?
Well, no, she's dead and she turned into dust, so they're dead. There's no more.
Damn, that's sad. That's kind of a cool experiment.
It was going in a bad direction.
I guess, but like, man,
It's fun because by that point, even if like the seventh dead was like a cool guy, the last two have like tanked the reputation so much.
Well, I thought people thought Fifth was just a really good mercenary. Was he like crazy?
Yeah, but he was like an assassin. He would like do anything. He would kill anyone. You know, it's not respectable. I'll give you that. And then that could probably, if the sixth dead was like a cool person, they'd probably be like, well, that's, you know, they were just like doing their job. But the sixth dead was like the same, but also like borderline a serial killer. And not borderline, basically a serial killer as well.
No, that's valid. That's valid. All right. Well, thank you all for watching, and hey, maybe we'll even see you next time, right?
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.